My fiancée insisted she was too tired to go out tonight. That night her friend mistakenly sent me a video of her kissing another man at a bar. She shrugged and said, "It's just harmless fun, don't be dramatic." This morning she woke up to our wedding group chat. Ceremony cancelled. She's a cheater. Now her entire family won't stop texting me. You know that sinking feeling when you realize you've been living in a fantasy? Well, buckle up because that's exactly where this story goes. For 3 years, 8 months of those as an engaged couple, I genuinely believed I had won the relationship lottery with Jessica. I mean, what kind of idiot questions perfection when it's staring him in the face every morning? I wasn't some blind fool either. I knew exactly who Jessica was. She was outgoing, flirty, and absolutely loved being the center of attention. When we'd go out to bars or parties in Charlotte, she was always the one making people laugh, telling stories, lighting up the entire room. It was part of what I fell in love with, you know? That magnetic energy she had. And maybe, deep down, I knew she liked getting attention from other guys too, but she always told me the same thing. You know, I'd never actually cheat on you, babe. I love you. And I believed her. God, I believed her completely. I trusted her with everything I had because when someone looks you in the eye and tells you they love you, when they're planning a wedding with you, when they're talking about kids and buying a house together, you don't expect them to be living a double life behind your back. That Friday night started like any other. I'd gotten home from work around 6, tired from dealing with project deadlines all week, ready to just crash on our couch and maybe order some takeout. Jessica had been complaining about being exhausted too. She'd had a rough week at her marketing job, staying late for some big campaign launch. I remember walking into our apartment and seeing her in the bathroom, taking off her earrings, stretching and yawning like she could barely keep her eyes open. "Ugh, I'm so exhausted," she said, rubbing her temples. "I think I'm just gonna shower and head to bed early tonight. Like, seriously early. I need a self-care night at home." I smiled at her through the bathroom mirror. "Yeah, you deserve a break. Want me to bring you some tea or something?" She shook her head, already turning on the shower. "Nah, I'll probably be asleep in like 10 minutes. She kissed me on the cheek, walked into our bedroom, and shut the door behind her. I grabbed a beer from the fridge, settled onto the couch, turned on Netflix, and didn't think twice about it. Why would I? My fiancée was tired, she was going to bed early, and I had the living room to myself to catch up on some shows. It was actually kind of nice, having a quiet Friday night at home. At least, that's what I thought until my phone buzzed around 10:30 and my entire world flipped upside down. I wasn't expecting any messages. Most of my friends knew I usually stayed in on Friday nights, so when my phone lit up with a Snapchat notification, I almost ignored it. But then I saw it was from Chloe, one of Jessica's friends. Chloe wasn't even that close to me personally, we'd maybe had a handful of conversations at parties, but for some reason she had sent me a video. I opened it without really thinking about it, and I swear my entire body went cold. The video was clearly from inside some nightclub, loud music pumping, strobe lights flashing, a big group of people laughing and dancing. And right there in the middle of it all was Jessica. Not home. Not asleep. Not exhausted. At a club, and not just hanging out with friends like a normal person. She was wrapped around some guy I'd never seen before, laughing, holding his face in her hands, whispering something in his ear with this look on her face that made my stomach drop. She looked way too comfortable, way too close, way too intimate. The video was only maybe 5 seconds long, but those 5 seconds told me everything I needed to know. My hands were literally frozen on my phone screen. I just stared at it, trying to process what I'd just seen. My brain kept trying to come up with explanations. Maybe it was an old video, maybe it was some kind of misunderstanding, maybe my eyes were playing tricks on me. But deep down, I knew exactly what I was looking at. I knew that outfit she was wearing, she'd bought it last month. I knew that club, we'd been there together before. And I knew that look on her face because I used to be the one who got that look. My stomach twisted into knots as the reality hit me like a freight train. While I was sitting on our couch, drinking a beer, thinking my fiancée was peacefully sleeping in our bed, she was at a nightclub getting cozy with another man. So there I was, staring at this Snapchat like it was some kind of sick joke, when something inside me just snapped into detective mode. I stared at that 5-second video for what felt like forever, then I did something that surprised even me. I texted her. "Hey, you still up?" I sent it and waited, my heart pounding like I was about to defuse a bomb. The response came back so fast it was almost insulting. "Hey babe, no, I'm already in bed." Why? I actually laughed out loud when I read that. Not a happy laugh. More like the sound you make when you realize you've been played by a master. She didn't even hesitate. No pause, no guilt, no second thought. She just lied straight to my face like it was the most natural thing in the world. And that's when it hit me like a brick wall. This wasn't some panicked cover-up or spur-of-the-moment mistake. Jessica was so comfortable lying to me that she could do it without missing a beat. She thought I was that stupid. She thought I was that trusting, that naive, that completely under her thumb that she could literally be at a nightclub grinding on another dude and still convince me she was tucked in bed at home. The disrespect was so complete, so casual, that it actually made me calm. Because in that moment, I realized something that changed everything. If she was this confident that I'd never catch her, that meant this wasn't her first rodeo. So instead of storming into the bedroom and confronting her right then, I decided to dig deeper. And what I found made my blood run cold. I started with Instagram because Jessica lived on that app. She was always posting selfies, group shots, pictures of her dinner, you name it. But as I scrolled through months of her posts with fresh eyes, one face kept showing up, the same guy from the Snapchat video. There he was at her friend's birthday dinner 3 months ago. There he was again at some music festival last summer. Another shot of him in the background of their group at some trendy bar downtown. But it wasn't just that he was there, it was the comments that made my skin crawl. Under a group photo from 2 months back, he'd written, "Best night ever, you still owe me for that dare though." Jessica had replied, "Oh shut up, that wasn't my fault." Then another friend chimed in with, "Can't believe she actually did it, iconic." I didn't know what the dare was, but I had a pretty sick feeling about it. These weren't random friendly comments. These were inside jokes, shared secrets, the kind of banter you have with someone you're way too comfortable with. The Instagram trail was bad enough, but what I found next absolutely destroyed me. See, Jessica and I were on the same phone plan, had been for over a year. It was one of those couple things we'd done to save money, never thinking it would come back to haunt us. But that night, I logged into our account and pulled up the call and text logs. And there it was, laid out in black and white like a roadmap of betrayal. His number. Late-night calls that lasted over 45 minutes. Text messages almost every single day. But here's the part that really twisted the knife. This pattern went back more than 14 months. 14 months. While I was planning our future, picking out engagement rings, talking about where we wanted to live, Jessica had been building an entire secret relationship behind my back. This wasn't some recent fling or a moment of weakness. This was a long-term emotional affair at minimum, and based on that Snapchat video, it had clearly gotten physical too. I barely slept that night. I just lay there next to her, watching her breathe, thinking about all the nights I'd gone to bed alone because she was working late or out with the girls. All the times she'd been on her phone constantly, claiming it was work emails or group chats with friends. All the times I'd trusted her completely while she was systematically destroying our entire relationship. The next morning, I woke up before Jessica did. I had to sit there and watch her stretch and smile like nothing had happened. "Morning, babe," she said, all sweet and innocent. I swallowed the rage burning in my throat. "Hey, sleep well?" She nodded, rubbing her eyes. "Yeah, I was out like a light. I needed that." I stared at her, still not quite believing she could lie so effortlessly. So I decided to test her one more time. I grabbed my phone, scrolled around casually, then asked, "Hey, weren't you supposed to stay in last night?" Her expression didn't even flicker. "Yeah, I did. Just went to bed early like I said." No hesitation. No guilt. No shame. That's when I pulled up the Snapchat video on my phone and showed it to her. For one split second, I saw real fear flash across her face. Her skin went pale and her eyes went wide. But then, and this is what really got me, she recovered. She actually had the audacity to let out a small laugh and roll her eyes. "Oh my God, you're being so dramatic." she said, like I was the one with the problem. It was just a game, John. We were playing dares. It wasn't serious. A game. She called cheating on me a game. My blood was boiling, but I kept my voice steady. So lying to my face was part of the game too? She sighed and rubbed her temples like I was giving her a headache. You're making this into a way bigger deal than it is. I didn't sleep with anyone. We were just having fun. I was so disgusted I couldn't even find words. She wasn't sorry. She wasn't embarrassed. She was just annoyed that I'd caught her, and she was treating me like I was overreacting to her harmless fun. That's when I knew exactly what I had to do. Here's where things get interesting because instead of doing what she expected, yelling, crying, making a scene, I did something that probably saved my sanity and definitely sealed her fate. I could have argued with her. I could have screamed at her about the phone records, the Instagram comments, the months of lies. But that's exactly what she wanted me to do. She wanted me to get emotional, to make this about my feelings instead of her actions, to give her room to manipulate the situation and paint me as the crazy, jealous boyfriend. So I took a deep breath, looked her right in the eyes, and said something that clearly caught her off guard. You know what? You're right. I overreacted. She blinked at me like she couldn't believe what she was hearing. Wait, what? I shrugged, forcing myself to sound casual. It was just a game, right? No big deal. I'm sorry I made such a fuss about it. I watched her entire body relax. The tension melted out of her shoulders, and she actually smiled at me like I was finally coming to my senses. Exactly. Thank you for understanding, babe. I knew you'd see it my way once you calmed down. She bought it completely. Jessica actually thought she had successfully manipulated me into accepting her betrayal. She thought her little performance about it being just a game had worked, and now she could go back to living her double life without any consequences. But what she didn't realize was that in that moment, I had made a decision that was going to change her entire world. I wasn't just going to leave her, I was going to make sure everyone knew exactly who she really was. The rest of that day, I played the part perfectly. I texted her sweet messages while she was at work. Love you, can't wait for dinner tonight. I smiled when she talked about our wedding plans over pasta that evening. I even laughed at her jokes like nothing had happened. Jessica was completely fooled. She thought she had dodged a bullet, and she was already back to her normal routine, checking her phone constantly, probably texting her little boyfriend, acting like she had successfully gaslighted me into ignoring the evidence of my own eyes. But while she was living in her fantasy world, I was planning something that would make her nightmares look like sweet dreams. See, Jessica and I weren't having some small, intimate wedding ceremony. This was going to be a major event, over 120 guests, a beautiful venue we'd booked months ago, her dream dress that cost more than most people's cars, professional catering, a DJ, the whole 9 yards. Her entire family was flying in from different states. All our friends, our coworkers, people from college, basically everyone who mattered in our lives was going to be there to celebrate our perfect love story. And the easiest way to keep everyone updated about wedding details? A group chat we'd created months earlier. Every single guest was in it. Both sets of parents, all our siblings, college friends, work friends, Jessica's sorority sisters, my fraternity brothers, even some extended family members who were traveling from out of state. It was supposed to be this convenient way to share updates about the venue, the schedule, any last-minute changes. What it was about to become was the stage for Jessica's complete and total public destruction. I spent the entire day acting normal, being the loving fiancé, while secretly adding people to that group chat. I added Jessica's coworkers, the ones she'd been complaining about all week. I added her boss, the one she claimed was such a perfectionist. I added some extended family members who weren't originally invited but deserved to know what kind of person their daughter-in-law was going to be. By the time I was done, that chat had grown from about 80 people to nearly 150. And Jessica had no idea. She was so convinced that she had successfully lied her way out of trouble that she didn't even notice me on my phone that night. She just curled up next to me on the couch, scrolling through Pinterest, showing me pictures of centerpieces and asking if I preferred the gold napkins or the silver ones. What do you think, babe? I'm leaning toward the gold, but I want your opinion. I looked at the screen, knowing that none of it mattered anymore. Whatever makes you happy, Jess. You know I trust your judgment. She beamed at me like I was the most supportive fiancé in the world. You're the best. I love that we can make these decisions together. Together. The word almost made me laugh. We weren't making decisions together. She was making plans for a wedding that was never going to happen, while I was making plans for her social suicide. That night, as she slept peacefully beside me, probably dreaming about her perfect wedding day, I lay awake thinking about timing. I could have sent the message right then. I could have blown up her world at midnight, let her wake up to chaos. But I wanted maximum impact. I wanted everyone to be awake, checking their phones, ready to witness the spectacular collapse of Charlotte's most manipulative bride-to-be. So I waited until morning. Jessica had no clue what was coming. She woke up stretching and yawning, already talking about her plans for the day, completely oblivious to the fact that she was about to lose everything she cared about. While she was in the shower, humming some song and probably thinking about her secret boyfriend, I was setting my phone alarm for exactly 7 a.m., prime time for maximum devastation. At exactly 7 a.m., while Jessica was still fast asleep beside me, I opened that wedding group chat and typed out the message that would end her life as she knew it. I kept it simple, direct, and absolutely devastating. Hey everyone, just wanted to let you know that the wedding is officially cancelled. Turns out my fiancée wasn't going to bed early last night. She was at a club lying to my face while getting cozy with another guy. Thanks to a Snapchat sent to me by accident, I now know this wasn't the first time. For those of you who still want proof, here's the picture. I wish Jessica the best, but I won't be marrying a cheater. Then I attached the Snapchat photo and hit send. I set my phone down on the nightstand and waited. It took exactly 2 minutes before that group chat absolutely exploded. The notifications started pouring in so fast my phone was practically vibrating off the table. Jessica's mom was first. Jessica, what is he talking about? Then her dad, tell me this isn't true. My best man jumped in with, holy shit, dude. One of Jessica's sorority sisters immediately left the group chat, which told me everything I needed to know about how much people actually respected her behind her back. The messages kept flooding in, and that's when Jessica's phone started buzzing like crazy on her nightstand. She groaned in her sleep, rolled over, and finally picked it up with her eyes still closed. Then she saw the screen, and I swear to God, the sound she made will haunt me forever. She screamed. Not a little yelp or gasp, a full-on, blood-curdling scream that probably woke up our neighbors 3 apartments down. She shot up in bed like she'd been electrocuted, staring at her phone with her mouth hanging open and her face completely white. What did you do? She whispered, and then louder, what did you do? I took a casual sip of the coffee I'd already made myself. Oh, just letting everyone know the wedding's off. You told me I was overreacting, so I figured I'd let other people weigh in on whether I'm being too sensitive. Her hands were shaking as she scrolled through the group chat messages. You posted this in our wedding chat? I raised an eyebrow. Well, you said it was just a game, right? I thought everyone should get a chance to see how fun your games are. The color had completely drained from her face. Her phone was still buzzing nonstop with incoming messages and calls. That's when her mom called, and Jessica answered it on the first ring. Mom, I can explain. I watched Jessica's face crumble as her own mother hung up on her. Just hung up. No screaming, no demanding explanations, just a dial tone that said everything about how done her family was with her garbage. But it got worse. Her dad called my phone directly, and when I answered, his voice was quiet and tired. John, is this real? There was a long pause where I could hear Jessica in the background trying to grab my phone, pleading with me to tell him it was all a misunderstanding. Yes, sir. I'm sorry you had to find out this way. Another pause. I'm so sorry you had to deal with this, son. And then he hung up. Not to yell at me. Not to defend his daughter. To apologize for raising someone who could do this to me. Jessica collapsed back onto the bed and just stared at the ceiling because she finally understood this wasn't something she could talk her way out of. This wasn't something she could manipulate or explain away. Her life had just imploded in front of 150 people, and it was entirely her own doing. Within an hour, The story had spread way beyond our group chat. Someone had screenshotted my message and posted it on Facebook with the caption, "Imagine ruining your whole wedding for a random dude at a club." Wild. The comments were absolutely brutal. Did she think he wouldn't find out? This is secondhand embarrassing. Prayers for Jessica's parents. She went from planning her dream wedding to being Charlotte's most talked about cheater in less than 60 minutes. And the consequences? They were swift and merciless. Her parents cut her off completely. No more daddy's credit card, no more family support. Half our mutual friends stopped talking to her overnight. The ones who stayed were probably just sticking around for the drama. Her boss found out through the office gossip chain and started treating her like she had some kind of contagious disease. The wedding venue refused to refund our deposit, and since my name was on the lease for our apartment, she had exactly 45 days to find somewhere else to live. She tried everything to fix it. She called me crying, texting me novels about how sorry she was, showing up at my work trying to corner me into talking to her. But I was done. I had nothing left to say to someone who thought I was stupid enough to believe her lies for over a year. The final nail in the coffin came 10 days later when she sent me one last desperate text. "I messed up. I miss you. Can we talk?" I read it, sat with it for about 30 seconds, then deleted it without responding. That was the last time Jessica ever crossed my mind, because while she was dealing with the wreckage of the life she'd destroyed, I was already moving on to something better, a life without a liar who thought I was too stupid to notice when she was playing games with my heart.